I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is February 12th, 2019, and in this video I'll be going over the Valentine puzzling print that I recently designed. Okay, so this is up on Thingiverse. It happens to be thing 3408725, and this is just kind of a play on what I did before. I did another puzzling print, I call it the puzzling print, which happens to be 3388622, and the idea is you print a thread as you go up, and then you stop it, and then you put the nut on, and then you let the print finish, and then it's kind of stuck there, and it can't get off, and you can spin it, and it's kind of cool. I decided to do a heart. I also decided to angle it, and that was kind of based on some other tests I was doing. I was doing another project, completely unrelated, and it kind of called for doing a thread at an angle, a nut at an angle, and I was like, I don't think this is going to work. And so I did it, and it worked just fine. I was like, wow, cool. That gave me this idea to kind of put a heart there in such a way that you could actually see it. So I did do a few tests. Oh, here's my test. It's always a good idea to do some smaller tests before you do the big one. And so what I did, although this is actually a big heart, I had one of these lying around from my, puzzling print that had actually broken. And so I printed out a big heart. I did it at an angle, the thread in there, if you can see it. And just to prove that I wasn't crazy and that would actually work, it's a little hard to thread on because on an angle. Kind of got to hold it there nice. But it works. So I got that first test to work. I was like, cool. So let me go see if I can design an arrow and get that whole thing working. And I did, and it works pretty well. So it's kind of a little fun print. So, you print out the heart, and then you print out the arrow, and you put stop points in there so you can put it on. But before I go into more details, I'd like to go over the numbers. So here's the numbers for this print. So the heart, in this case, took 45 minutes to print. And the arrow took 1 hour and 20 minutes to print, and that's including little stop times. And for a total time of 2 hours and 5 minutes. And the gear, the heart, took 0.007 cents worth of electricity, and the arrow took 0.012 cents worth of electricity. So total electricity is 0.019 cents. And the weight of this is 0.012 kilograms. And at $20 per kilogram, that comes out to 24 cents. So this whole thing cost 26 cents to print, so pretty cheap, nothing to it. And also, I don't mention this every video, but when I'm doing my power estimates, I base that on 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So which is, a good average here, like in Colorado and other places like that. But if you happen to spend 20 or 30 cents for electricity, it's a little easy enough to do the conversion, but just to let you know that. But also electricity is such a minor part of this. So anyway, it's pretty cool, pretty happy with it. I've had some issues though. So I'm going to go over those issues and kind of explain what I've done. And if anyone else is having issues with these, tell me, because I think maybe I need to do some more redesigns to make this better. But let's go to that now and talk about the issues. Oh, one tiny thing before I go on the issues is if you do print this out, you might notice there are actually voids in the top of the heart. And what I was trying to do with that is I was trying to balance it. I don't have it actually balanced perfectly. It's still kind of heavy on this side. So that you could actually, in theory, stand it up straight and not have it fall over. So I did those. That's why there are these voids in there, which you can see right here in the slicer. So if you're asking what those are, it's trying to balance it. Oh, and I forgot to do this. Oh, okay. So for those, I forgot to put this in the last section. So here I'll put a video of me switching out the gear, but there is an issue with that with the grease, which I'll go over here in a second. But here, watch this video. Because once it starts beeping, I'll swap it out. So I'm filming the swap out. Oh, there we go. Okay, so at this point, I'll just hit that to make it stop beeping. So one thing to note is when you place this on your bed, place it far enough back so that you're not going to have any problem with this bar. So here I put a little tiny bit of white lightning grease in there. You don't have to, but I do. And then carefully try to get this on without breaking it off. So shouldn't be too much of an issue. Oh, almost got it. Oh, got it. I'm just holding the bottom down here so I don't... And go slow, I don't want to break it off. And you got to make sure to get down far enough that the top of the heart is not going to hit the nozzle either. Boom, there we go. So now I'll put this black back in because I still need to finish up some black. Check that height there, looks good. Yep. And hopefully it'll start printing. Cool, more than high enough. So I got one more switch point here in a little bit, and then I'll go red for the the tip of the arrow, and it'll be done. Okay, so hopefully I pointed out the one thing that I think you should not do, it's obviously wrong, is to put grease on the gear before you put it on. What I did is I did a couple experiments. I did 3 of them here. And so one, I kind of put heavy grease on there, put it on, wiped it off the top, and then made sure there was one section that had some grease on it. And I set this aside for this video 2 days ago, and I haven't touched it. It's been in a box, and it's been rattling around a little bit as I've moved the box, but I haven't intentionally tried to break it. And it's already broken by itself. So my thinking was I was going to try to snap it in this video, but it has already snapped. So don't put grease on beforehand. I don't think the grease is even at the PLA, but I think what happened is I put the grease on there, it got on the top, and so as it tried to put new plastic down, the grease was in the way. And so it couldn't get a good adhesion to there because there was a grease. And so don't do that. If you're going to grease it up, which I think is a good idea, grease it up after the fact. I don't think grease has any interaction with PLA, but definitely, doesn't adhere, so broken. And I got a couple other ones that I was breaking last week. Now, I have 2 more experiments that I did. Let's see. Make sure I keep them separate. And I have to apologize. Let me see. I'm going to apologize to somebody who was actually trying to print this. And that was based on my own stuff. Let me see. Let me get his name. The name. Gene458, who tried to print this out. I had some problems. Like when I first saw this break, I didn't think it was the grease. I thought there was an issue when I was doing the infill that the way it's connecting, unless I went to a really, really high infill, which I try to avoid typically with my prints. Not because that's bad, but because I'm trying to make prints simple. If I can do a print with no brim, 20% infill, and no supports, that's my goal. I want to design it so it's simple. So that's what I was trying to do. But that's my goal typically. And so I thought, well, with this 20% fill, it's not good. A couple ways to fix it would be there's some settings which I haven't really gone into higher settings on slicers where you can do more, and I'm going to use the wrong word, borders. So it would have a thicker border and go more and more around. So I thought that could fix it, but I didn't want to do that. So I thought my problem was the print, not the grease. I know it's the grease now. And so what I did is I came back and did a redesign. And and the redesign I did is I didn't say do a bigger infill. I actually put another cylinder inside the cylinder. And so there's an empty space in there. And the empty space, if you use that, in fact, let me just show what the results are. So I was trying to force it to, I want to say trick the slicer into giving me a, more of a circular pattern there. And I'm using the wrong word. Let me go. So I'll put this arrow in here. So this is the one that has a cylinder in the cylinder. So if I generate this at 20%, you get up here, and what it does is there's that empty cylinder in the middle, and so that, you're getting those, you're almost getting a solid piece there almost. That was my goal. I kind of fooled it into doing the right thing, and so that's what this one is. And this one, I have no grease on it at all, and I have this, which I think should make it stronger than otherwise, but I wonder if I can, I've had, some people are having problems with this breaking, so let me see if I can, okay, I'm not having problems with it breaking. Oh, okay. But again, everyone has different printers and different slicers. So I'm Prusa exclusively right now, and I probably say that because they do a good job. And I'm exclusively using the Prusa control with no special settings. And I mean, if I forced it, I could probably break it, but it feels fine. But they were having problems caused by this somehow. And so I apologize, I should have put up a solid one too. So I did put up a solid one. So in here, there's two different arrows. One that has this shell in the middle and this empty space, and one that is just solid, so you can adjust it yourself. And this one is, oh yeah, that's stronger. I printed this one out 70% infill. Oh yeah. I think they're both fine. Okay. Which I probably would have done this. I think the problem is the grease. Yeah. So I think this at a 20% infill with the empty void works just fine. Or if you can do the solid one, 70% infill to get it nice and strong. Yeah. All right. I think that's the way to go. Okay. So that was the problem I had. And I was wondering if I was going to be able to break one here on camera. And I'm not. They both feel fine. Okay. So with that, there's the print. Go download it, print it. But now for those who may be interested, I'm going to go over some of the techniques I use in Fusion 360 to get this working, because there may be some other ways to do it, but I had a problem in Fusion 360 and I found a way to overcome it with angling this thread. So let me go over that now. Okay, so let me go over what I did roughly to kind of get this arrow and heart working. And one thing that I like to show every so often is in Fusion 360, if you haven't done this already and you're doing 3D printing, you want to change your preferences so your Z-axis is up, I believe. Now that I said I'm going to be wrong. Yeah, Z-axis up, which is not the default. But if you set that as the default, then you don't have to change the orientation when you make your STL file. So to change that, you go up here to your name, go to Preferences, and go to Default Modeling Orientation Z up. That's what you want. You select that, you hit OK. You may have to restart Fusion 360 to have that applied, but I don't think you do. It's been a while since I've done it. But anyway, so let's get started. So I'll right-click on here and say New Component, and we'll do the arrow. And not that there's anything really all that special about, well, I recently did a video on the puzzling print, and so that puzzling print, if you watch that video on how I made the bolt, this is going to be pretty similar. But there's a few things I figured out on how to make the arrow part, the fletching, is that the right word? Which may be interesting or may not. Come up with your own idea. So here I'm going to, let's see, right-click on this. What do I want to do? So I'll right-click on this and say, create a sketch. Hit S, and I'll make I think I'll make a 10 millimeter. What did I do for this guy? 10 millimeters? I think I did 10 millimeters. Let me go check. Let's see, let me go check my sketch. Yeah, 10 millimeters. So do 10 millimeters, and that's going to be our shaft. I'll hit Q for press pull, and I'll pull it up. Yeah, I'll just make it 40 millimeters for now. And so we'll just leave that as our shaft. And then from here, we'll build the base and the bottom. So here, let's see, what did I do? It's been a while. I went out and I sliced it, didn't I? Yeah, what did I do? It's been a while. Nice thing in here is you can see your history. So if I go back in my history, oh, history marker here, there we go. There's my shaft. There we go. Lower guy. There's what I did. So I'll do the lower one first. And so I did a square and did that and did... what I did that. I did that. There we go. So to get the bottom part, right click on here, create a sketch. And I'll make the... hopefully I'm not using the wrong word. I think it's fletching. I'll hit L for my line key. And I'll start here. And I know this bottom is 10 millimeters in diameter. So I'll click here and I'll go out straight and go 5. Oh, sorry. Oops, I did something. There we go. L for the line key, go out 5, hit enter. There we go. L key, go the other way, 5, hit enter. And I'll make a rough base shape. Like that. I think I was doing 45 degrees, but Well, let me do 45 degrees again. So I'll come down here, hit tab, type in 45 degrees, which forces that 45 degree angle, and then I'll go right there. And I'll hit the line key. I'll just go straight across, hit escape, and I'll make this a construction line so I can use it later. Hit L, click here, and then go to my tab. And so I can actually do math here because I know this should be 90 plus 45. I can say 90 plus 45 degrees, hit tab, and then go down here, touch, there we go, bam. And then come under here, let me see, we'll go 6. And I should probably do more than 6, that's not good. Wait, we'll do 9, and then we'll do 45 degrees again to the center. Oh, I should put a construction line in there. Hit L, go down, escape, construction line, there we go. 45 degrees. You know, and feel free to fast forward any of these parts that might be a little on the boring side for whatever you might be doing. That's the joy of YouTube. You can fast forward and skip, right? So 9, so it matches. And there. Boom. And then I know this is 10 millimeters on diameter, so I can do Q for my press pull tool, select that. And then I can do symmetry, so it pulls on both sides. I say 5 millimeters, and boom, I got that. And then what I can do is I got this little conic shape to make it a little bit less goofy. And I think I had to fiddle with this a bit. So I can say, remove those bodies, add the sketches back, select that one, hit Q for my press pull tool, and pull it down. Let me bring the bodies back so I can see it. We'll say new body. Make sure it's a new body for what this little technique. And I want it to taper out. So I'll say, I think I adjusted this a little bit, 46. I think I adjusted it to kind of try to get close to the edges there. That'll work well enough for today. Hit OK. And so now I can do some mathematical properties, some joining, subtraction of these two different objects. So I can go to, I think it's modify combine. Which might sound funny when you say combine, because combine you can also subtract. There's the, mathematical concept of tweaking them. So we select, let me start this over again. Select one of the bodies, select that one, and this one we'll select that guy. When I made that bottom one, I shouldn't have joined it. I think it's joined. Let me double check on that. But I think this will still... it'll still technically work, I think. And so now I want to do an intersect. Yeah. Okay, that's the problem. That's why I wanted that one to be separate, because now that I'm intersecting them, it's going to wipe out that shaft, but I can remake it here. So hit OK. And you can see it's not quite perfect what I did, but that was the idea I did. I tweaked it a bunch to kind of get it smooth. You may have to fiddle with those angles. But let me come back here, press the pull tool again. And say, what was it, 50? Boom. Something like that. Now, what did I do on the top? I did out and in. Let me see, what did I do? There we go. Out. And then back in. And I did that. That's what I did. Yep. Okay. So what I did here on the top is I clicked on here, press Q for my press pull tool. Oh, no. If you do this and you pull it, it's just going to extend your shaft and keep it the same object. I don't want that. So I'll click on this and say create a sketch. And select that same spot, press Q, and so now it separates them. And at this point, I want to taper out, and I can taper out at 45 degrees. And I'll say, I forget what I did, I'll just say 5 millimeters for now. And I'll click on this, say create a sketch here, do press pull on this as well, and make this, but I want to taper it in, and I forget what I did, but it wasn't 45 degrees because I don't have to. We'll just say that, and I'll go as high as I can until I get a point. And hit OK, and so now I have that. So then what I did is click here and say create a sketch on here, and I'll make some lines. I said line, 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 and here I didn't want a tight point up here, so I got it. Oh no, now I went to the top. Go to the top. And you can fix it after the fact. So there's that shape. But I don't want a pointy edge, so I will put a little arc in there. Because who wants to poke themselves in the face? Boom. Okay, then I'll get rid of the bodies for a second. I've got escape. Do the bodies for a second. Click on this. Press the Q for the press pull tool. Bring the bodies back, and again I'll do symmetry, 5 millimeters, and new body. So I have that, and so now I can subtract these. So we've got 3 bodies. So what I first want to do is say create, modify, combine. No, not that guy. Not those guys. Are you going to combine those two? Okay, I just got the same problem I did again. Those weren't new bodies that were separate, were they? I have to recreate the shaft yet again. But there, I wanted to intersect those two. If I recall correctly, I think I originally created those as 2 bodies, and I had to combine them, and then I had to do this intersection. So there is kind of roughly what I did, but now I got to bring back my shaft again, don't I? Oh, and it wiped out the bottom. Never mind. Let's not do that. Let me go back in my history. Edit that feature. See, join, not a join. New body. I want it to be separate. And this one, edit feature, not a join, new body. There we go. And then this one, and now it's being persnickety at me, but I think it's okay. Okay, now they're new bodies. I think that'll work. Combine that one and no, we want to join them. So join those 2 together, and then combine that one and intersect. There we go. Now, of course, you'd want to probably tweak that a little bit to get the right... That's not exactly looking like what I did, but that was the idea. And then lastly, all you got to do is put the gears on. Put the threads on. So there's a thread tool. You can search for it. You can open up this tool and search for thread. I happen to be using it a lot, so I have it in my shortcuts. And then we will select that shaft. Select modeled, because right now it's just a picture. And it will model for us, and it tries to attempt to figure out what you want. So it does an M10 by 1.5, which is good. We just want to make sure that we make the other one, we would use it M10 1.5 as well. So hit OK. And the last thing I do is hit Q for the press pull. Well, sorry, don't hit Q. Go in here, select the screw, select that plane right there, press Q, and I go in not 0.5. I go in negative, I guess I'll type it, negative 0.2. And that makes a little looser fit. Did you do negative 0.2? Yeah, negative 0.2. That makes the thread a little bit easier to thread on, otherwise it's too tight for what I'm doing. Your mileage may vary. So there's the arrow. So this section's been going long, so let me cut it out here so I can edit the next part. So the next part, let me go over making the heart, the nut for this. Okay, now that we have that, let's make the heart. So I'll right click on this and say new component, and I'll call this the heart. And I'll get rid of that arrow so I don't have to see it. Now, originally what I thought I was going to do was I was going to make the heart, make a shaft, apply a thread to it, and then move that shaft over and kind of cut through the heart, and then intersect, then modify those both objects using the combine. And I thought that would work, but it was such a complex shape that it didn't like me. So let me see what I can do here. Let me see if I can get that to fail again, and then then go through the method I use. So here I'll create a sketch, and I will insert an SVG. I happen to go find a heart SVG. It's made my life a little simpler than trying to draw a heart. Okay, where are you? No. 3D prints. So there it is. There's a heart I found. Oh, I'm going to make this too big, aren't I? Before I put in there, I kind of want to make a rough sketch so I get the right size. Let me get a rectangle and make it 50 by 50. I think that's roughly what I did. Now we insert an SVG. There we go. So now I can kind of resize it to make sure it fits in there in the dimensions I want. I'm going to wipe out this rectangle in a second, but okay, so that's roughly the size I want. Hit OK. And then I can get rid of these lines because I don't need them anymore. And then I can take this and do Q for press pull and pull it up. Let's just pull it up 10 millimeters. And so there's our heart. We just need to put a thread through it. So the first idea I had, and I'll go through this like I said, I will create a sketch on here and put in that 10 millimeter bolt. And I'll click on this, press Q, and just to overdo it, I'll say new body, symmetric. We'll just make it obnoxious, way too long. You hit OK, it's a new body. Let me apply a thread to it. And modeled, and we'll see that's the right thread, M10 by 1.5. And come down here, press Q, and go in 0.2 and hit OK. Because I could have just put a hole in there and gone straight, but I want to angle it, right? So what I would do next, or what I attempted to do next, was choose the Move Copy tool, click on this, and change it, 45 degrees. And then move it in here. That looks kind of good. So hit OK. And then I will go to Modify and use that Combine tool. Select that, select this one, and then do a cut. I think I've chosen the right way. Yeah, hit OK. And now watch, it likes me. Oh, now you're gonna like me, little turd. Didn't like me today. Well, there you go. And then I'll have to go, oh, I did mess that up. Let me go back a step. That thread, since we're using to cut, we don't want to... Did I modify it? No. No, I put the thread on there, I didn't change it. So now I want to go into the thread right now, and I need some more space. Yeah, see, watch, I do a video, it works. Press Q, and go in. Oh, you're not gonna... Let me go back in my history. Did something wrong here. No, that's fine. No, that's good. So now you work, you little turkey. Yeah, at this point, it's going to be hard to fix that thread. I forgot, what did I do? I think I might have left it as is. It's been a while. This works. Okay, this is a much easier technique. If that works for you, then you've got your cut just fine. For me, when I was trying to do it last time, Fusion 360 kind of barked on it and said it couldn't do it. Let me go through my other history here. There we go. There we go. If I can show this. It's probably easier to show than to totally redo it, since that other technique worked. That's a much easier way to do it. So here's my other heart that I did originally for this. And what I did, because originally that cut I just did didn't work. So I made a giant cylinder that would engulf the entire heart. And I put a shaft through it, put that through it, put my thread through it, and then I adjusted it by 0.2. Well, maybe this is probably an easier way to adjust it by 0.2. Oh, probably is. Okay, maybe let me show it because it's probably worthwhile. Because this, yeah, there's some problems with this technique. Okay, let me back up, undo what I did here, and show you what I did for my actual one. So maybe my problem was actually a good problem. Okay, so here I am here. I got that 10 millimeter. Now let me undo that 10 millimeter. So what I did is I made get a top sketch. I will edit this sketch, create a giant cylinder. Doesn't really matter exactly, it doesn't have to be centered. I'm going to create it rather big by comparison. Just say like that. Press Q for my press pull tool, and we'll make it, oh, don't do that. You gotta select the heart and that because I want the whole thing. I'll go way up and I'll say symmetric because I need it big, and I'll say new body. Okay. Click on here, create a sketch on the top where I'm going to put that. Okay, where's my circle tool go? You should stay in there. There you go. Go to the center here and go out 10 millimeters. Select that, press Q for my press pull tool, and I'll cut this whole thing in half. I'll say add to object. I'll say the bottom face. There you go. So now I've got a hole all the way down. And then I will apply the thread to it. Select modeled. It's M10 by 1.5, which is what I want. Hit OK. You go in here, and this is too tight, so I'll select that, press Q, and go in, not -1, -0.2. And now comes the fun, because I gotta do some adjustments here. So I will select this whole thing, say move, select the move tool. And the first thing I do is I flip this to 45 degrees. And then the idea is I want that to go through my heart at a central location as best I can. So it's going to take some tweaking. Hit OK. Oh, what did you just do there? I lost my centerpiece. You say move, move, this guy. Okay, rotate. I'm not sure what I did there. 45 degrees. This is the slow part because you're moving this giant thing. And you may have to do some tweaking and adjustment because this thing needs to engulf the heart. So I may not do a good job in this test, but hit OK. Give it a second. And I'm going to do modify, combine, select that guy. And you can't even see the one, so I may have to turn this off for a second, and then select the heart. And then hit, we don't want to cut, we want to intersect. And hit OK. And I just did a horrible job on that. So why aren't you showing up threads correctly? Oh, it didn't. Excuse me. It didn't grab my cylinder in the middle. Okay, that seems weird. But you get the idea. There's something I messed up here. But the idea, which I did over here, you'll see here's that guy, his object, with that cut in there. I move it. I angle it. Then I combine both of them, and there I get my cut. So, and I'm not sure what I did wrong on this other one, but I don't know why that cylinder wasn't connected. But I had to have the whole thing engulf the other one so I could get it done correctly. And at the very end, I added those little features at the end. So that's how I got it done. I wish I could show a better demo here, but I'm missing something I did. I'm not sure. But that's the idea. So anyway, if you like the print, Valentine's Day is coming up, and it's kind of a cool little doodad to give out and show people. It costs about nothing to print. If you like it, download it, print it out. If not, I hope this video helped out to show you some techniques on how you can make your own. I'm sure there's a lot of other little cool things you can stick on a spike. So, aside from my heart. So, anyway, hope this video helped out. Hey, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we were doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.